Yes, that's right. So we're going to start with guided discovery, which is an approach to language presentation that hopefully involves the learners in the learning process. I'll have a break at about 11 o'clock, and then we're going to be looking at the text-based approach, which is the one of the lesson frameworks we'll be applying in our teaching practices, TP3, in fact. Okay, so let me just mark you present, Elisa and Karina. Okay, let's start with a little warm-up. I'd like us to answer this question. These two questions. What's your most memorable learning experience, and how would it have been even more memorable? Okay, so think back to your past learning, any experience from school, or even more recently. And I'd like you to think about these two questions for 1 minute, make some notes if you wish, okay, and then tell me about it. So starting now. All right, who'd like to go first?
I can go first.
Go on then.
So my most memorable learning experience, well, I've never taught any student. So I would say when I was younger, when I used to live in the United States, when I went to middle school, and I had an ESL teacher. She helped me a lot with my learning experience, learning the language of English. And she was very patient. She always found a way to help me understand the language, which it was hard sometimes. And then how would it have been even more memorable? Well, if maybe if more students were involved, because it was only me and her, but maybe it would have been better if there were more students, so then we could, I don't know, talk more or have more activities together. Work as a partner, maybe work as a group. That would have been nice.
So a bit more interaction with other students, perhaps. Yeah, good. And what about you, Elisa?
Well, my most memorable learning experience was on 3rd grade of primary. My English teacher promoted me. I was very shy, and she was close to me, and I think it was perfect on that way. And the other experience was when 5 years ago, I learned to swim in the open sea, and my teacher was all the time giving me security, but at the same time, he was exigent with me, demanding more from me. And I think that that experience will be better if we could swim with many people, probably in a competence.
Did your teacher give you lots of support when he was teaching you how to swim in the open sea?
Yes, he gave me support, lots of support.
Right. Sounds like a difficult thing to do.
Well, he gave me instructions, but he also swam with me, so I feel secure. That was very important. But at the same time, when it was difficult for me, for example, we swam on with jellyfish, big jellyfish, blue jellyfish, like a ball.
Yeah.
So I scared and I stopped, and he demanded me to continue swimming. That was okay. Another time we swam on the river. It was difficult because I was with my head outside the water, and he told me, no, you need to have the head inside the water. And I do it. I get it. I learn a lot.
Hi, Pam. Welcome.
Hi, sorry for being late.
It's okay. We were just talking about memorable learning experiences and how your experiences might have been even more memorable. So Karina was talking about an English teacher from when she was at school in the US, and Elisa was telling us about a swimming teacher. And both of those were very memorable for different reasons. Do you have any memorable learning experiences you could tell us about?
I've had a lot.
Great.
Okay, but perhaps just one. Could you tell us about one?
Maybe my most recent one. I'm taking singing classes, and I used to be very shy, and I used to be like afraid of making mistakes, but my teacher is very she's very kind and very patient, and she's made me more confident about me just singing and being not afraid of the mistakes and all of that.
So imparting a sense of confidence is important, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to have a short demonstration lesson, which I'm going to give. I'd like you to participate as the students. So let's begin by asking you, how healthy or unhealthy are you? Can you give me some examples? And I'll write them on the board of how healthy or unhealthy you are.
Healthy as a teacher, or healthy in my body?
Yeah, with your health, looking after your health. Yeah.
Well.
Do you eat a healthy diet? Do you do exercise?
Water.
Okay, you drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I type it?
Yeah, you can type it if you wish, yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to type it.
Well, okay, well, I'll do it then, shall I? Let's have a go.
Sorry. Well, I have a diet. I practice meditation. I do exercise.
So do exercise.
I sleep well.
Practice. You practice meditation.
Yes.
Meditation.
I take care of my meals. I have a diet.
Okay, good. Pam and Karina, do you have anything to add to these positive things?
Drink water.
Drink water. Okay. Huh? Anything else?
Use sunblock, maybe.
Use sunblock. Okay, what about some maybe not so positive things that you do?
Mm,
I work a lot,
Work long hours.
long hours, lots and lots of hours.
Don't sleep well. Not enough sleep.
Mhm.
Maybe using too much the cell phone.
All right. Anything else? All right, now we're going to read about Sam and her habits. Now, this was in the pack I sent you by email, but I'll send it again through the chat. Okay. Here it comes. Going through the chat now. So let's read about Sam's habits and compare her habits with our habits. Do you think she's a healthy person? I'll give you 1 to 2 minutes to read quickly. And answer one, why or why not. Read silently. So what do you think? Do you think she's a healthy person?
I mean, she's trying to be.
Yes, I agree.
She
Trying
knows
to, yes.
there's things
Yes.
that she's not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, she's got a long way to go, hasn't she? So let's just tick off the things that, does she do exercise?
No,
No.
no, she didn't.
Does she practice meditation?
No, don't. She doesn't.
Does she sleep well?
No information.
No information.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll put X then. Does she drink water?
No information.
No information. Okay. Does she use sunblock?
No information.
No information. Does she work long hours?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll put a tick there then. Does she not get enough sleep?
No information.
No information. Does she use the cell phone too much?
No information about
Doesn't say, does it? No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the only thing that we definitely have in common there is working long hours. Okay, so I'd like you to work together as a trio and look at the phrases in bold. How many phrases in bold can you see? Count them.
6, 4, 5, 6.
6, yes. Okay. So what do you think are the missing words here?
Frequency, maybe?
Expressing frequency, yes. Good. Okay, so now I'd like one of you to be the. Could one of you be the writer, the scribe? Okay. Pam, would you be the writer?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share on the screen your?
A minute.
I'll make you
Yeah. it's
co-host so you can screen share. No problem. All right. So, okay. So work together, and you've got to divide these 6 into 2 categories.
Okay.
Lower what? What's the missing word?
Regularly.
No, it's frequency again. It's frequency again, isn't it? Lower frequency and
High frequency.
higher frequency. Good. Okay. So discuss together which do you think? Where did the 6 go?
Okay. The first is most days. I think it's
days.
higher.
Higher. More often than not. Lower. Most of the time.
I think it's higher.
I think it's higher.
Okay.
Most of the time, higher. Then every now and again,
Every
Okay,
now
so
and again, frequently.
every now and again.
It means that now and again and again and again. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Thinking like it's like every 2 weeks or every. That's how
We could look at the sentences. Gives me energy to start my day, but every now and again I feel tired by midday. I think it's like sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's not so higher. No, not so high, right?
Yeah.
So it's here. Then every so often. Okay, so she's not
Lower.
all the time in a diet. Yeah, it's lower. And then once in a while, it's lower, right?
Yes.
Good. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing for you a second. Now, just to confirm the answers. So, those are all correct. Now, there's some flexibility in the way that these expressions can be realized and still deliver the same or similar meaning. So, what do you think? Once in a the one we've seen today is once in a while, right?
Mhm.
But what is the are there any other?
Once in a week. Could
Once
be.
in a year. Once in
That would be once a week, though, wouldn't it? And not once in a. Yeah, if you have that preposition in there, it changes it. Yeah.
Like once in a blue moon.
Very good. Yes, once in a blue moon. And what part of speech is once in a blue moon? Do you know? Begins with I.
Idiomatic expression.
Yes, it's an idiom.
It is the same idiom than idiomatic expression.
Well, it's just an easy way of saying it, isn't it? It's an idiom.
Okay.
An idiom in English. Yeah. Or if you prefer an idiomatic expression, it's just longer, but it means the same thing. So the example we saw was every now and again.
Mhm.
But is there another one that we could say?
Could it be every now and then?
Mhm.
Very good. Yes, every now and then. So we can say every now and again, and every now and then. Okay. I'd like you to work together and try and suggest other alternatives for most and most of the and every. Okay, so are you able to write on here, Pam? Can you try and write on this? You can?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so Karina and Elisa, see if you can suggest some possibilities to Pam.
It was most days.
Most weeks. Most.
Maybe we could start with every. I think it's easier.
Every week, every month,
Every week.
year,
Yeah.
every Thursday.
Every
But
week, every
it doesn't
year.
have so.
It doesn't have what? Sorry.
So
Hmm. Anything else here?
also can be holidays. Every Christmas,
Hmm.
every Easter.
I think it's missing the so.
Yes, you're right. It is missing the so, isn't it? Yeah. So you could say,
Hmm.
yeah, every so many days.
So many days.
Every so many days means what? How frequently is that?
Once or twice. Every so many
Okay.
days.
Thank you.
Every so many days.
Most of the
Most
It
of the
was
time,
most of the time. It was most
Yeah.
of the time in the text.
have it.
I was thinking like most of the season could be.
Could be. It sounds well.
Do you think of anything else?
No.
Most of the mornings.
Most of the mornings?
What do you think?
Could be.
There you would say most mornings instead of most of them.
Mm.
Yeah. So why didn't you put that down
Yeah, on
after
the
most?
mornings. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I think you were kind of drying up a bit, so I'll give you some other suggestions. So most, you could say most mornings. You could also say most afternoons. Afternoons. Sorry, terrible at writing with these pens. And then most evenings. Or even most nights. And then most of the. You could, a more common one would be day, most of the day. Most of the day I work. Most of the week I'm at school. And most of the year. The typical ones. And notice that all of these are singular, not plural. But notice that these are plural. Yeah. So you've got to watch the form as well. So every so many days, we could say so many weeks. We can say so many years. All right. So this is actual language that people actually use in everyday life. And when we're researching language like this, we can get it from a corpus. which is like a bank of language. It's like a bank of language of samples of spoken and written language, and it's collected by linguists. One is, you could check it out yourself, investigate, and you can do a search to see how common these expressions are. One that you can check is Bank of English. If you Google that. All right, now let's do some pronunciation. So I'm going to stop screen sharing a second. We'll go back to our handout. But before we do the pronunciation, I forgot to ask you a question, and that is, where can these expressions go in the sentence? Do they go at the beginning of the sentence, in the middle, or at the end?
At the beginning.
Have a look in the
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the sentence.
text. Yeah, they're kind of flexible, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
What does it depend on then? How does it depend?
I think that the more frequent ones are at the beginning.
I think it's really just the emphasis of the speaker, right? If the speaker wants to emphasize the frequency, then they bring it to the beginning of the sentence. Yeah, that's the usual thing. If you want to emphasize, especially in English, you bring the adverb to the beginning of the sentence. It's called fronting, bringing it to the emphasis. Now, we're going to do some prom. Listen to the sentences. Place the stress mark on the correct words. Are there any sounds that connect to others? Okay, so maybe you can copy this black box, and as you listen to the audio, place it on the word, above the word. So the first one you'll hear is every. Oh. And you'll notice that there's a sort of rhythm to the speech. So every now and again, I feel tired by midday. Let's listen and confirm. Okay, and then I want you to do the same with more often than not. And I do have the occasional drink once in a while. Every now and again, I feel tired by midday. More often than not, I'll just have a sandwich. I do have the occasional drink once in a while. So also note where it's linking. Yeah, where we have a consonant sound and a vowel sound together. Once again.
Every now and again, I feel tired by midday. More often than not, I'll just have a sandwich. I do have the occasional drink once in a while.
Okay, so did you have this?
Yes, but I'm not sure if it's right.
About this?
Okay. Mhm.
Notice that there is this kind of links together with an n sound.
Mhm.
And this weak, this gets weak and becomes of.
Just the. Mhm.
More often than not, I'll just have a sandwich. I'll just have a sandwich. Here we've got linking once in a while. So this all sounds like it's together, right? Once in a while. Let's say it. Once in a while.
Once in a while.
The not.
The nut.
The not.
The nut.
Just of a sandwich.
Just have a sandwich.
Okay, let's say them all together then. Every now and again, I feel tired by midday.
Every now
and again, I feel tired by midday.
More often than not, I'll just have a sandwich.
more
More often than not, I'll just have sandwich.
Ah, but too strong. Just have a sandwich.
Just have a sandwich.
Ah. I do have the occasional drink once in a while.
I do have the occasional drink once in a while.
Wow.
So why do you think have is weak, Pam? Why is have weak? Why is it not strong? Why don't we say, I'll just have a sandwich?
Because the emphasis is in sandwich. What do you have?
Yeah, well, we're more interested in the sandwich than the have, right? Have is just a grammatical necessity. It's not really being stressed. Yeah. So we stress the content words, right? We'll look at this in more detail next week when we do phonology 2, all right? But for now, we're going to consider these questions. Okay, now that's the end of the demo. It's a very short demo. And we're going to consider these questions. So what the question is, what was the language focus? Why was this a memorable experience, language learning experience? What did the teacher do? And what would follow? What would come after this short demo? Okay. I'm going to give you a Google Doc so you can write some of the answers on the Google Doc. We can see what you're writing. Can I have a volunteer to write the group's answers down?
Yeah. I can
Let's
do
give
it.
Pam.
Google Doc, I can write it.
Okay, Elisa, great. Let's give Pam a break. Okay. So Elisa, you need to click on that link. Okay.
I have it.
Okay, great. So discuss together and let's come up with some answers.
Do I share my screen so they can see the document?
Yeah, what a good idea.
Well, we can discuss and then I'm sharing my screen.
Sure.
For number one, what do you guys think? I'm thinking expressing frequency, expressing time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Expressing frequency.
Mhm.
What was this memorable learning experience?
Mm, 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 mm.
There's different ways to say how you feel about the time or the time you have.
I was thinking more about like, do you remember that we didn't have some of the words, and we had to come up with the word frequency? Like we had to analyze the words and then get to the idea that it was frequency. So we had to think like maybe more.
What was memorable learning experience? Well, he's asking for reason.
Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Maybe because we had to come up with the things ourselves.
Yes, and we can read a frequency of experience in different persons. Well, for Karina and for me and also for you, the point was that the teacher was kind and supportive. It was the same answer for the three. I think it is focused in the better way we learn.
Okay.
Okay. What do you want that I write? The better ways a person learn, or what?
All right, but you need to think about why is it better? What processes were involved when you were doing the activities? Were you thinking?
Yes.
We remember.
Remembering doesn't just come automatically. It has to be, there has to be processes involved before you memorize things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't just memorize things by looking at them, right?
Well, what about he started with healthy habits and unhealthy habits.
Mm-hmm.
So then most of the days I exercise. So that makes me think about the frequency, expressing the frequency with the healthy or unhealthy habits.
Do you agree?
Do you guys want to add something else?
Maybe that we later came up with expressions that were similar to the ones in the text.
Yep.
What did the teacher do?
Is that like asking like the steps? Like he did like a warm up, and then
Yeah, like set up the context, right, for the expressions.
so the like the warm up. What's the two questions? And then he then did the paragraph. And
Yeah, like give the instructions, right, to like read and maybe
and in that paragraph
try to analyze the words that were in bold to see what was like the topic.
Then the students look for other expressions, other similar expressions.
Yeah, but before that we had to like classify the words, right?
Right.
And then we check.
Then the students look for other similar expressions.
Yes.
And teacher, add more expression. Add and correct.
And then it's what would follow for the students to create their own like sentences or use the expressions in their own sentences, I think. What do you guys think?
For what, for number 4? Yeah, practice. But then pronunciation was missing on number 3. Or this
Yes.
mark. How you express the expressions in the sentence.
Students analyze the position of the frequency expressions in a sentence.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So number 1. Yeah, there were frequency expressions. What we call those are adverbial phrases of frequency. Adverbial phrases of frequency. Okay. The second B there is B grande, not chiquita. That's it. Why was it a memorable learning experience? I would say because you did the discovering yourselves, right? It wasn't me explaining stuff. It was mainly because you were discovering the language yourself. And because your cognitive processes are engaged, right? That's why it's more memorable. Because if you're involved in thinking, that's why it's more likely to go into your memory. It's part of the depth of processing hypothesis. It's like the more you're involved in thinking about something, the more memorable it becomes. If it's all on the surface, it's just, yeah. It can just sort of float by and it doesn't, you don't retain it. Yeah. So the more your thinking skills are engaged, the more memorable it's going to become. So what did the teacher do? More than anything, I set the tasks and helped you along. And I assisted with you doing the tasks. So I set the tasks and I helped you along. I highlighted that some of these expressions are fixed, right? Like once in a blue moon. I highlighted some more semi-fixed structures, like most of the day, most of the year. I highlighted that one is an idiom, right? Idioms don't usually change, right? So that would be the once in a blue moon. I asked you some form checking questions. Like, can I change the order? Can they go at the beginning of a sentence? Can they go in the middle? Can they go at the end? Why? Well, it depends on the emphasis that the person wants to make. And I used visual clues on the board, right? Like the table, so that you could organize the expressions. And what would follow? You were right, it's practice. Practice comes next. So now I'm going to give you some guided discovery activities from a course book. And I'd like you to, I'm going to give you one each. And I'd like you to analyze them a little bit. There are 3 examples of guided discovery. Think about what they're asking the students to do. So I'd like you to do them, actually do them. So I'm going to give the first one to Karina. So the first thing is to do the guided discovery activity, and then think about what the materials writers are asking the students to do. Elisa, I'm going to give you B. Okay. And Pam, do C. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to try and do the activity and then analyze what they're asking the students to do. And then we'll discuss what is the common approach here. If you've done yours and you have some time left, you can move on to another one.
Ready?
Ready? Okay. Karina, can you give us the answers to this activity first? Then we'll discuss what they're asking students to do.
For number 1, if you have your newspaper delivered, A, do you do it? No. B, does someone do it for you? Yes.
Right. So it's that one.
For number 2, what is the correct structure? I'm thinking letter A.
Look at the form there.
Oh, past, yeah, B.
Past participle, yeah. Okay, so what are these activities asking the students to do?
Like here, you highlighted the words, so you to find the pattern themselves.
Right. Find the pattern themselves or discover the pattern themselves from examples. Okay? So they have to figure out the rule, don't they? They're given examples. Here we've got there 4 examples here, 3 examples.
What about for, I like to have everything done for me.
It's done.
Yeah, done is the past participle there. Good. So, Elisa, which 2 questions do we usually ask people about their plans?
What are you going to do next Saturday?
Uh-huh.
Or what will you do next Saturday afternoon?
Oh,
No? What are you doing?
right. Why don't we say, what will you do next Saturday? Why don't we say that?
Because it's talking about present, like.
Because will is what do we use will for usually?
Or something is not planned? Planet?
Right, will, yeah, we don't usually use will for plans so much. It's more like decisions made at the time of speaking, or predictions without any evidence, right? Now, so we use going to and present continuous for things we planned, right? There's not much difference between them here.
Yes.
So, but what is the difference? Is there a difference at all between present continuous and going to in this situation?
I think going to is something planned from the past to the future. And doing is something that frequently he or she does.
Okay, there is a difference. You're right. I mean, both are used for plans. I mean, in many cases, both can be used to express the same idea, but there's some differences. For example, we prefer going to when we're talking not about fixed arrangements, but about intentions and decisions. So this is the first one, B, is the emphasis on an arrangement.
You say going to is not about fixed arrangement. It's about what?
It's about intentions and decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Right? So this is about their emphasis on the intention of the person who's listening. So it's just a little bit, there's not much practical difference in meaning, but there's a shade of difference in meaning. It's to do with arrangement versus intention.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, so think
So
about the process here. Why is it asking us to compare these two questions?
A student needs to identify the correct structure and understand the difference between the correct ones.
And upper intermediate level, we're thinking about more finer distinctions in meaning, right? So there is a slight difference in meaning, but it's a fine difference. So for the students to figure out what the difference is, you need to give them examples and they need to talk about it. Right?
Yes.
Now, if you have questions about how do we find out that, right? I've got all that information from this book, Practical English Usage. I think it's available in a PDF in the resources area.
Okay.
Of the NEO, yeah. If you look on page, I think it's unit 214, and it says present progressive and going to differences. Yeah, and it's explaining here quite clearly what the differences are using examples.
Oh, thank you. Practical Useful English, is it the title?
Practical
English
usage by Michael Swan.
Thank you.
So those can give you the answers if you're not sure yourself. But we have to research these areas, yeah, as teachers. All right, so Pam, let's look at these sentences.
When she started her new job, she had bought lots of new clothes. And number 2, when she started her new job, she bought lots of new clothes.
Okay, so what's the difference?
The extra word had.
And okay, we can also go ahead and point out the difference in form, right? What's the form in the number 1? This one. What's the form here? What's the name of this structure? Is it past simple? Past perfect simple? Past perfect continuous? PPS. Yeah. And this one is?
Past simple.
Past simple. All right, so what's the difference then?
In the
Number
first one, she bought the clothes before she started the new job.
Yeah.
And for the second one, I wrote when she started the new job.
Yeah, when. So it could be at the same time or
Mhm.
slightly after, right? Hard to say, but it sort of suggests at the same time, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Now I'm going to give you some example sentences, and we'll see if we can design an activity to check the meaning, the form, and the pronunciation. Okay, so have we've got eight sentences here. Highlights. What? So I would like us to think about what can we do, what guided discovery tasks could we design to check the meaning, the form, and the pronunciation of these. Let's just brainstorm some ideas. How could we check the meaning, the form, and the pronunciation of all of these? There are adjectives, right?
Mhm.
And we're contrasting the ed and the ing endings.
maybe the ed is for feelings. I think that you can change he was exhausted with he felt exhausted.
Okay. So here we could say sentences 1 to 4 have got the ed endings, right? So sentences you could say the subject is experiencing. Actually, that's more like meaning, isn't it? Let's move that one there.
Yeah.
And what about sentences 5 through 8?
Like it's describing the situation.
Right.
Doing.
There the subject is causing. So you could turn these into questions to make it into a guided discovery task. So in sentences 1 to 4, is the subject experiencing a feeling or emotion, or causing an emotion? Yeah. So what's the answer?
Experiencing.
It's experiencing. So you highlight that, right? In sentences 1 to 8,
Is the subject.
causing or experiencing? What's the answer?
Causing.
Causing. All right, so you can pose those questions and the students can work together and answer them, right? Now, what about the form? What's the form? Are they verbs or nouns? Or are they adjectives?
Adjectives.
Yes. Or we can also call them present or past participles. That's just labels, right, for the terminology. The present participles are ing, What are the past participles?
ET.
ED. Yeah, so that's the terminology, the terms we use when we're describing them. So the present is ing, past ed. So for form, adjectives ending in ed are used to describe experiencing a feeling or emotion,
Mhm.
or causing a feeling or emotion. Which is correct?
Experiencing.
Yeah, it's experiencing, isn't it? Yeah? So there we're linking the form with the meaning. And then we can write a similar question. So we turn that into a question, can't we?
Mhm.
Are
Mhm.
so you make a similar one with for the ing.
Ending in
ing
ing. Mhm.
used to describe experiencing so the answer would be causing, right?
Causing. Mhm.
Okay, so that's the form. Now, what could we work on for the pronunciation? The ideas there.
Is stress in the sentence?
Well, what about the endings, right?
Mhm.
So we've got 3 d sounds in English. We got the id and t sound. This is how they sound, right? Not how they're spelled. So the t. So where would you put exhausted? Imagine you've got 3 columns
Mhm.
and you dictate to the students a word like exhausted. Would you put it in column 1, 2, or 3?
In column 2,
Yeah. What about embarrassed? Embarrassed. Is that d?
in column 1,
Mhm.
No. Sorry, embarrassed. Did we say embarrassed? No,
Embarrassed.
it's t. Yeah,
Mhm.
embarrassed. It's not a d, it's a t. What about bored? Is that a t as well? Bored?
In column 1,
It's column 1, yeah. That's definitely a d sound, isn't it? Bored. And confused?
column 1,
Yeah. That's right. Good job. Now, what about that ing sound? It's a difficult, potentially difficult sound for Spanish speakers, and they don't often get it right.
Mhm.
Because it's this sound. It's that sound, right?
Yeah.
It's a very nasal sound, so you got to give them practice. Confusing, embarrassing.
Boring.
Yeah, so let's repeat, okay? Confusing,
Confusing.
embarrassing,
Embarrassing.
exhausting,
Exhausting.
boring.
Boring.
Okay, Pam, boring.
Boring.
Elisa, embarrassing.
embarrassing,
Karina, exhausting.
Exhausting.
Yeah, you may have to also work on the word stress as well, which syllable is going as stressed, because that will help them with the final syllable. Okay, good.
Teacher, I have a question. Well, I don't know why I think that, for example, in the first sentence, his explanations make me feel very confused. Confused is referred to the way he's feeling. And I don't know why I think it's an adverb, because it's referring to the way he feels. But it's an adjective.
Well, let's say it's a past participle functioning as an adjective.
Oh. Thank you.
Well, if you change it with the verb to be, you can tell it's an adjective. All right, so he is confused.
And there is an adverb because it refers to is. Is that correct?
No, because if it's the verb to be, that's what we call a copular verb, and copular verbs use an adjective.
Okay. I will read more about this. Thank you.
Basically, if it goes with the verb to be, it's an adjective.
Okay.
Because it refers to the state, right? But you're right. I mean, if it was like a a non-state verb, then it would be an adverb. Yeah.
Okay, if it goes with the verb to be, it is an adjective because it refers to an statement.
A state.
State.
A state
State.
of being. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I get it.
And most of these go with a verb to be, don't they? Apart from the first one, I guess. Yeah. But also feel is a state rather than, it's not a dynamic verb. It's not an action, right?
Mhm. Yes, I understand.
Okay, so let's finish with some few questions about general discussions. And some other considerations like, what if the students can't work out the rules? So what would you say are the characteristics of guided discovery? What does it promote in the learners? We kind of answered that a bit already. What happens if the students can't work out the rules? What can we do then? What interaction pattern should be used for guided discovery? And why is this approach to covering language better than a more traditional way? Okay, so here's the link again into the chat. Can we have a volunteer to write down the group's answers? Okay, I'll give you about 5 minutes to that. I'll come back and check your progress in about 5 minutes.
You want to do it, Karina?
Yeah, I can do it.
For the first one,
Um,
what do you think?
Do I share it? I cannot share.
I think we can see it.
So we don't type it? We don't write down the answers?
Yeah, we write down the answers.
It won't let me. It's saying that I cannot share screen.
Oh, but it's here.
I can type it there.
Yeah, you can type it and we are going to see.
Where do
Because
I?
it is in Google Drive. If you type, we are going to read it in the Google Drive.
There, maybe.
Are you writing?
Okay, there you go. I think that's it. Okay, I got it. So
Okay.
what are the characteristics of guided discovery?
Like allowing the students to be more independent, maybe?
Okay.
Analytic?
And to
Mhm. Like to analyze for themselves, right?
yes.
Yeah. Students analyze by themselves, yes.
So students analyze what
Analyze.
else? Oh.
and discover the coincidence.
Oh my goodness, I cannot do it.
Don't worry. Who's doing it? Who's writing?
I don't know, I think.
Because I'm seeing two people typing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I thought I was on my own on a Word, but I erased it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I cannot. It just froze this thing.
No, but you did it. You wrote it.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in my document.
I think you did it here, right? Like on the board.
I thought I did it because I couldn't share my screen.
I was writing on the other link, not in the last one. I'm going to open the last one so I can see. Yeah. Well, someone is writing here. I don't know. But I don't have anything written.
Yeah, it's gone now. You wanna do it, Elisa?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I will do it.
You,
Pam, it's the same if I write it in the first link and then the other link. It's the same. It's exactly.
I think so.
Okay. Okay,
So
so
it was students are able to analyze themselves.
yeah. I cannot share my screen. No puedo comenzar a compartir pantalla mientras el otro participante está compartiendo.
yeah, that's what
But
happened.
we're watching it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment, please.
What was number 2 so we can start thinking?
It was
Yeah, that's not it.
what does it promote in learners? Like autonomy. To be more
Okay, can you see my screen?
yes.
Karen, I want to tell you something. Sometimes if you move your course down or up, there's here, it says compartir pantalla, share the screen. Sometimes it is down or sometimes it is up, but you move the course down or up and then it says share screen. That's the way.
Okay, so you click on the share screen, the green button?
Yeah, I click here and then on my screen, I can see different documents that I have open and I choose the one that I want to share. But first you need to move the course down or up and it will appear this bar.
Okay.
Also, can you see, I can move the bar up or I can move the bar down.
Okay.
It disappears, but if I put the course there, I can take it again and I can see it again. Can you see?
Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you to you. Well, what are the characteristics of the guide discovery? That students analyze the structure, analyze and find coincidence. To discover the structure,
Mhm. On their own. Mhm. What does she promote in learners? To be more observant.
To think more
Mhm.
outside of the box.
To analyze and see, I don't know how to say sintetizar.
Synthesize, I think.
To be more
Yeah, synthesize.
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 Can you spell, please? Synthesize.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Ah, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm writing and you can continue discussing. I'm listening also.
Mhm.
Do you agree with this answer? Do you want to add something?
It was summarize. Here. Because the other one, I think it refers only like to chemicals. Synthesize. So it's summarize.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Which is the difference, Pam, between summarize and synthesize?
Synthesize, it's like for chemicals.
Okay, it's different than in Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, what happens if the students can't work out the rules?
Then the teacher intervenes, right?
Yes. Does the teacher ask more questions to get to?
Mhm. Or like they point at the exact words or the structure. They give more support.
Teacher point at the exact clue word.
Mhm.
Ask more. Teacher ask more questions.
Mhm.
Teacher add information.
Mhm.
Specific information. For example, when the teacher wrote that some adjectives are for describe experiences or causing, and we need to choose the correct answer.
Mhm.
So students can choose the correct answer.
So questions.
What interaction pattern should be used for data discovery?
Well, if you look at the previous examples, there's always like questions, like multiple choice or
I'm not sure if what they mean by interaction pattern. Is it like with the material? Is it like with the teacher, with their
Is it
peers?
individual? Is it
Okay.
pairs? Is it groups?
Okay.
I think first is individual.
Yeah, or it could be like in pairs.
Mhm.
depending on how big the group is, right? And maybe then they can compare with each other. Yeah.
But if the students don't understand, it's necessary that the class and the teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be like the last step, right?
Can you see the? Okay, no. Well, let's go to the 5th question.
Why is this approach?
Because they students,
They pay more attention, maybe?
they have a
They are
memory
more
experience.
yeah, they are more involved. Their attention is only there. They're not distracted.
Students are engaged.
Yeah, you're missing a D. Engaged.
Remember easy? What do you think? Students remember easy?
They
Not necessarily.
They're thinking more, so it's gonna stay in the brain.
So it's more memorable.
I think we finished.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stopped sharing.
Good job. Yeah. I think you're okay to use the word synthesize because it does actually, there is a similar word to that as the Spanish word in English. And it's usually when we combine two ideas and make a new one, right?
Yeah.
So that's okay, yeah. Yeah.
Summarize is to make a resume. Is that correct?
Yeah, to make a resume, yeah. To summarize. That's correct.
Thank you.
But what else can we say? I would say that the characteristics is that we need a text with the target language in it as well.
Yeah.
No, the text can be as short as a sentence or sentences, right? As with our ing ed examples.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got to have some guiding questions to focus their attention. To the point of the salient language features. Salient means relevant, right? You could also have a test. Yeah, I agree with that. Learners being active in working out the language rules themselves. And in working out, they synthesize and analyze. Yeah, they use those cognitive skills. What happens if the students can't work out the rules? Yes, they can point at the clue words, they can ask questions, they can add specific information. You can do micro teaching.
Micro teaching is teacher helps one or two students or they work in pairs.
That's right. I mean, it could be with one or two students or with the pairs. Yeah. Maybe asking more questions. You can provide deductive activities. Deductive activities is like where you give them the rule, right? And then they do some practice. So guided discovery is what we call inductive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's inductive approach, where they find out the rule. Whereas deductive is the opposite way around. You give them the rule and then they do some. It's more traditional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's usually first it's individuals, so they're thinking themselves, then they compare answers in pairs. Why? Because it promotes peer teaching and self-teaching. Yeah. Why is it better? Students are engaged. You could also mention that it promotes self-learning. Critical thinking.
Yes.
It's all the rage these days, and autonomy.
Yes.
Or independence. Trying to make students become more independent of the teacher. Huh? It's a difficult task, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh? Okay. So that's just about it on guided discovery. There's some more notes on it on the handout that I gave you. Guided discovery handout. So you can read up on that again. Okay, I think unless you have any further questions, we can take our break. which I promised you at 11 to 11:20. So let's return at 11:20.
Okay.
And we're going to have another demonstration with you as students.
Thank you, Andrew.